Hello there. So, about 2 weeks ago, or about a week ago, I saw Charles Eisenstein speak, who is one of my favorite authors. He's the author of The Ascent of Humanity, Civilization and the Human Sense of Self. And this is an absolutely amazing book. I first read a book called Ishmael by Daniel Quinn about 2.5 years ago, and that just led me on this journey of wanting to figure out answers to these things that Ishmael discusses. And so I read all the sequels to Ishmael. I read all these other books. I read Derek Jensen. I read books on meditation. I read all these books, and then finally I read this book, and it basically summed up all of that stuff. And so Charles Eisenstein was speaking in my home state of Pennsylvania, so my friend and I went and saw him speak, and we got to meet him, and it was really amazing. And I uploaded the YouTube footage of part of the talk that he gave, and he didn't talk directly about this book, but the subject he talked about kind of meshes along with that book, and that is the topic of the invisible path. And I really resonate with the concept of the invisible path. I feel like the stages, the 7 stages that he outlines, I'll post a link to the original essay, The Invisible Path. And so he outlines these 7 stages that people often move through when transitioning from the old paradigm to the newer paradigm. And I feel like I often move through these stages almost every day, or throughout the course of a week. One day I'll be completely excited and doing exactly what I feel like I need to do, and then the next day I'll start doubting all that stuff, and I'll kind of drop into a despair phase. And he explained that in the talk that he gave, about how it's not really a linear process, it's more of a cyclical or fractal process, in that each phase contains all the other phases. And stage 6, the invisible path, really does contain all the other ones. But after he gave the talk, and that's when I turned off the camera, he asked if people wanted to share experiences of theirs that correlate with the invisible path. And he specifically asked if anybody wanted to share a glimpse experience, which is stage 5. So along the course of the invisible path, oftentimes we sense that a more beautiful world is possible out there, but then we're constantly told, and growing up, that, oh, this is the way it is, you have to get a job, you have to do something you hate most of the time so you can have a little bit of fun on the weekends. We're just constantly told this is the way it is. And then we finally are like, no, there has to be something else out there. So we go on this search, but we search all these new places, we're reading books we have never read before, and then the search, we just can't find what we're looking for. Other people seem to be finding this new paradigm, new way of being in the world, but we're not finding it. So then we move into stage 4, which is this doubting of, maybe this is the way it is, I have to get a real job, and I have to just be upset most of the time. I just have to go back to the daily grind, and we drop into this despair phase often. But then stage 5 is this glimpse where we experience firsthand what we were looking for, and it's just this new way of being in the world, new way of seeing things, and just new ways of thinking. And so a lot of people at this seminar where Charles spoke shared their glimpse experiences, where they first realized that there is something out there better than the status quo. And one of my experiences with that is I had this horrible chronic pain problem about 1.5 years ago, and I was just suffering immensely and just had horrible chronic pain in my legs pretty much 24/7, and I was doing physical therapy exercises like 8 hours a day trying to get rid of this, and it was consuming my life completely, and I was so just depressed and sad that this was the only thing I could focus on was this pain. And finally I was recommended the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and at first I was like, this book looks silly, it has a bright green cover, it just looks ridiculous, and I wasn't into meditation or anything really. But then I started reading it and it started resonating, and then I was just, by the end of page 50 even, I was just like, whoa, I know exactly how to get rid of my pain. I just have to kind of accept it and enter the present moment. And as soon as I did that, I was just like thrust into this just blissful state of being. And it lasted for about a week. I was just walking around with a deep inner stillness, and just nothing could upset me. I was just completely at peace at the deepest level. And it was just, for the first time, it was proof to me that it's possible to actually be joyful in life, and we don't have to just settle for this status quo level of being. And so that was one of my amazing glimpses. I was just walking around outside, just in awe at nature. And I feel like what really happened was I was kind of catapulted into the right side of my brain. And when I'm on the right side of my brain, I could just be in the present moment and not worry about anything else, but just have all my attention in the present moment. And it was just amazing to experience that firsthand. And so that was one of my glimpses. I would love to hear any glimpse experience that you have, perhaps in a video response or something of that sort, because one of the things Charles Eisenstein said is when we share these stories of walking this invisible path, it helps other people, and it helps affirm that yes, we are venturing out into unknown territory, and we often need help from other people walking this invisible path. And so one of Charles Eisenstein's newer talks is only available on Vimeo. He has a Vimeo channel, so I'll post a link to that. He has two really, really amazing talks that basically summarize this 500-page book. So I'll post links to those. I highly, highly recommend them. They're very comprehensive and just very inspiring. So once again, Charles Eisenstein's website is ascentofhumanity.com, and he has the whole book online for free in text form and audio form. So I highly recommend those. Have a beautiful day. Peace.